This is the VOA Special English Agriculture Report. Today, we have a vocabulary quiz. We start with 2 questions about terms for plants. Okay, first question. What is the name for a plant that lives only 1 year or 1 growing season? This kind of plant is called an annual. Think of an annual report, a report published just once a year. You can probably guess the next question. What do we call a plant that produces new growth year after year? Plants that keep growing back are called perennials. So a perennial is the opposite of an annual. Perennials come back year after year. Now some questions about terms for livestock. What is another name for a male cow? A bull, right? Well, not always. A male cow is usually called a bull only if it still has its reproductive organs. If not, we call it a what? The answer? A steer. Next question. What is another name for a young cow? A very young cow is called a calf. But a young female cow, especially one that has not had a calf yet, has a special name. Do you know what it is? The answer? A heifer. Maybe you knew that. But here is a question just for our radio listeners. Can you spell it? Heifer is spelled H-E-I-F-E-R. Cows, like all mammals, lactate. Our next question is, do you know what that means? To lactate means to produce milk. Cows lactate for up to 10 months. In milk, fat rises to the top, but some people do not like to drink milk that way. So there is a process that reduces the size of the fat particles and mixes them all through the milk. This process has a name, a long name. What is it? It's called homogenization. Still with us? Okay, another question. Milk can be made into cheese. Some people like cheese made with milk from a sheep. What do you call a female sheep? The answer? A ewe, spelled E-W-E. Male sheep have their own name. A male sheep is a what? A ram. Rams and ewes produce lambs. A lamb is a sheep less than a year old. But what do you call the meat from a sheep over a year old? Then we call it mutton. Age also plays a part in terms for horses. For example, a mare is generally a female 3 years or older. But what do you call a female horse under 3? The answer, a filly. And for extra credit, do you know the name for a male horse under 4? A colt. For VOA Special English, I'm Carolyn Presutti.
Special English Agriculture Report. Today we have a test for you, a vocabulary quiz. The words are all related to agriculture. We start with 2 questions about terms for plants. Ready? First question. What do we call a plant that lives only 1 year or 1 growing season? That kind of plant is called an annual. You can probably guess the next question. What do we call a plant that produces new growth year after year? Plants that keep growing back are called perennials. Now we are going to ask some questions about terms for livestock. What is another name for a male cow? A bull, right? Well, a bull can just mean a male cow that has not had its reproductive organs removed. If the animal was castrated as a calf, the name for it is what? The answer, a steer. Next question. What is another name for a young cow? That should be easy. We just said it. A young cow is a calf. But we have a special name for a young female cow, especially if it has not had a calf yet. What is that name? The answer, a heifer. Maybe you knew that, but can you spell it? Heifer is spelled H-E-I-F-E-R. Cows, like all mammals, produce milk. There is a medical name for this process. What is it? The answer, lactate. Cows lactate for up to 10 months. In milk, the fat rises to the top. But some people do not like to drink milk that way. So there is a process that is used to reduce the size of the fat particles and mix them all through the milk. What is the name of that process? It's called homogenization. Milk can be made into cheese. Some people like cheese made with milk from a sheep. Our next question. What do you call a female sheep? The answer, a ewe, spelled E-W-E. Male sheep have their own name. What is it? Males are called rams. A lamb is a sheep under a year old. But what do you call the meat from a sheep that is over a year old? We call it mutton. Age also plays a part in terms for horses. For example, a mare is generally defined as a female 3 years or older. But what do you call a female horse that is under 3? The answer, a filly. And the last question. What is the name for a male horse that is under 4 years old? A young male is a colt. So how many did you get right? If you want to take this quiz again, you can find it at voaspecialenglish.com or on Facebook and Twitter at VOA Learning English. For VOA Special English, I'm Alex Villarreal.
Agriculture report. Old properties and empty lots in cities and towns around the United States are finding new life as urban farms. Echo City Farms in Edmonston, Maryland is located near shopping centers, car repair shops, and homes. The neighborhood is a working-class community. People do not have very much money, and they have limited access to fresh food in markets. Over the past 2 years, the farm has attracted volunteers from the community, like Marcy Clark. She schools her 4 children at home. On a recent day, she brought them to Echo City Farms for a lesson. Her children harvested rows of spinach, mustard greens, lettuce, Swiss chard, and carrots. It's important that the children understand the connection between the food that they eat, the soil, the air, the pollution, how all this is connected to their well-being, she says. Her son Alston agrees. You connect with the earth where your food comes from. You appreciate the food a little bit more. Margaret Morgan Hubbard started Echo City Farms. She thinks of it as a place where people can learn to live healthier lives. Our view is that what happens in a community influences the culture of that community. So our idea was growing food in a community and showing that you can have farms even in urban areas, redefines what's possible in that area, in that community, and brings people together. Every piece of what we do here is a demonstration to show people everything about how to have a sustainable community, she says. That means not only farming food and raising chickens and bees, but improving the soil with compost made from food waste. 16 wooden bins are filled with worms. Their job is to eat the food waste and help make it into compost. Echo City Farms is an off-the-grid experimental operation. The farm gets its power not from the local electricity grid, but from the sun with solar panels. In winter, the greenhouses are heated using a geothermal system. Buried tubes pump air at underground temperature